You feel it before you understand it, that silent pull, that whisper in your chest that says, you were meant for more. That ache in your bones isn't fatigue, it's the weight of your untapped potential begging to be set free. You don't need another plan, another routine, or another set of rules. You need your energy back. You need your glow. The kind of glow that doesn't just shine in the mirror, but radiates through your words, your walk, your choices, lighting up every room you enter without needing to prove a single thing. This is not about surface shine. This is about soul fire. And you, right now, are standing at the threshold of igniting something eternal. Welcome to your awakening. This is the path of the Glow Energy Coach. Every moment you've doubted yourself, every time you've settled for less, every time you've made yourself smaller just to be accepted, it all ends now. Yeah, because deep down you've always known you were born to radiate. Not just exist, not just survive, not just get by, but to glow with purpose, with intensity, with unwavering belief that your light is a force, and no one can dim what was divinely designed to shine. You've tried living muted, you've tried silencing your spirit to make others comfortable. But what did it get you? Empty days, anxious nights, a longing you couldn't name. That was your glow energy knocking on the door. Now is the moment you finally open it. You don't have to chase your glow because it was never outside of you to begin with. That energy you're looking for, that confidence you crave, that sense of deep, fulfilling power, it's already in you. You were born with it. It's not something you acquire through achievement or beauty or approval. It's something you awaken through remembrance. The world taught you to suppress it. Experiences made you forget it. Pain made you question it. But even when you lost touch with it, it never left you. That inner light, that unshakable knowing, that radiant self, it's still there, waiting, silently glowing underneath all the noise, the fear, the distractions. Your glow energy is your birthright, not a reward. It doesn't require you to become anything more. It only requires you to come home to yourself. Most people spend their lives searching outside for what can only be ignited within. They think if they just do more, earn more, impress more, they'll finally feel worthy. But the truth is that kind of glow doesn't come from what you do. It comes from who you are when you strip away all the roles, all the masks, and all the noise. When you stop measuring your value by how productive, attractive, or successful you appear, and start measuring it by how aligned, peaceful, and authentic you feel. Your glow begins to rise when you allow yourself to be fully you without apology, without performance, without needing permission. It's the most natural state of your being. It's what happens when your spirit is no longer at war with your decisions. When you reclaim your birthright to glow, everything changes, not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because your relationship with yourself becomes stronger. You stop looking for someone else to save you because you realize you've been your own source all along. You stop begging for love, recognition, and acceptance because you've given those things to yourself first. And that kind of self-generated energy is unshakable. It's not conditional on the outcome. It's not fragile under pressure. It's steady, sovereign, and sacred. You'll start to feel it in the way you speak to yourself, in the way you say no to what drains you and yes to what honors you. You'll see it in the way you hold your head higher, in the way your presence commands without force, in the way your silence speaks louder than noise. That's glow energy. It doesn't beg, it doesn't chase, it doesn't compete, it just is. It's the quiet fire of someone who knows their worth isn't up for negotiation. It's the confidence of someone who has nothing to prove and everything to embody. The world may not have taught you this. In fact, it likely did the opposite. It told you to earn your worth, to shrink your truth, to follow the crowd, to play it safe. But your soul has always known better. That quiet voice inside you, the one that kept whispering there's more, that was your glow calling you back. Every time you felt disconnected, depleted, or dimmed, it wasn't because you were broken. It was because you were disconnected from your birthright. And now the invitation is clear. Reclaim it. This doesn't require a dramatic transformation. It requires a return, a softening, a choosing. Every day you decide to return to your light. You decide to stop outsourcing your value and start owning it. You decide to stop performing and start being. That's when your glow energy comes alive. Not through force, but through truth. Not through hustle, but through alignment. And once you're in that state, you'll never need to chase anything again. You'll radiate, and what's meant for you will be drawn in like a magnet, because nothing is more powerful than someone who remembers who they are. And when you remember, you glow. There's a quiet power in choosing alignment over approval, and once you truly understand it, your entire life begins to shift. For so long, you may have been taught to shape yourself into what others expect, to win acceptance through performance, to gain love by playing a role. You've worn the masks, softened your truth, said yes when your soul was screaming no, all for the hope of approval that never fully satisfied you. But at some point, something inside you begins to ache. You start to feel the cost of being misaligned with your spirit. The emptiness grows, and suddenly no amount of praise, likes, or attention feels real. That's when the choice presents itself: continue down the path of external validation or choose the road of inner alignment. Choosing alignment means you begin making decisions that reflect your truth rather than your fear. It means you stop bending yourself into what others want and begin expanding into who you truly are. It's not always easy. In fact, it often requires letting go of people, environments, and versions of yourself that were built for survival, not for authenticity. But the freedom on the other side of that decision is unmatched. You stop asking, what will they think, and start asking, does this feel right for me? That single shift in question unlocks a new level of clarity, peace, and energy. When you're living in alignment, your energy becomes coherent. You're no longer split between your inner truth and your outer actions. You're no longer drained from pretending, performing, or pleasing. Your glow becomes consistent because it's rooted in truth, not effort. You don't have to force your presence, you simply embody it. And people feel the difference. There's something magnetic about someone who is deeply aligned with themselves. They radiate without trying. They attract without chasing. They move with calm confidence, not because they know everything, but because they trust themselves deeply. Approval may give you a moment of recognition, but alignment gives you a lifetime of peace. The approval of others is fickle. It shifts with their moods, their beliefs, their projections. You can spend your whole life trying to earn it and still feel empty. But when you choose alignment, you give yourself the kind of validation that can't be taken away. You become your own source. You set your own standards. You define your worth. And that kind of energy is unshakable. You begin to speak differently, not louder but clearer. You begin to move differently, not faster but more intentionally. You start surrounding yourself with people who see the real you, not the version you perform. Your boundaries get stronger, your tolerance for anything inauthentic drops, and you stop apologizing for honoring your truth. This is what happens when you choose alignment over approval. You stop living for applause and start living in integrity. There will be moments of discomfort, moments where your choice to stand in truth makes others uncomfortable, moments where choosing alignment means walking away from old patterns, old people, old habits. But every time you choose alignment, you glow a little more. Every time you say yes to what's true and no to what's performative, you reclaim more of your energy, and that energy becomes a force. It moves you forward with clarity. It magnetizes opportunities that match your frequency. It repels what no longer serves you. It keeps you in flow. Alignment is not a destination, it's a daily commitment. It's checking in with your energy, your feelings, your decisions. It's asking, am I being honest with myself? And being brave enough to course correct when you're not. It's the kind of internal guidance system that never steers you wrong, but only if you have the courage to listen. Because once you do, your glow won't just return, it will radiate with a power that transforms everything around you. Your energy is always speaking. Before you say a word, before you take an action, before you explain yourself, your energy has already entered the space. It introduces you before your name does. It communicates your self-worth, your peace, your confidence, and your truth without needing language. That's why energy is more powerful than appearance, louder than speech, and more memorable than anything material. You may think people respond to your looks, your voice, or your words, but what they're really reacting to is how they feel in your presence. And that feeling is shaped by your energy, clear or chaotic, empowered or fearful, grounded or anxious. When your energy is aligned, intentional, and grounded in truth, you don't have to do as much. You don't have to over-explain, over-prove, or over-give. You simply are, and that's enough. There is a deep shift that happens when you realize your energy is your essence. It's not just about how enthusiastic or positive you seem, it's about what's going on beneath the surface. Do your thoughts reflect your peace? Do your actions reflect your truth? Are your boundaries reflecting your self-worth? Because your energy is a mirror, it reveals whether you're in alignment or conflict, whether you're at peace or pretending to be, and people feel that. They may not always be able to name it, but they sense it. You felt it too. You've walked into a room and immediately sensed tension, or met someone who didn't say much but radiated strength, kindness, or calm. That's the silent language of energy. When you cultivate your inner energy, you become magnetic. You begin to draw in experiences, opportunities, and people who reflect your clarity. It's no longer about hustling to be noticed. It's about embodying who you are so fully that what's meant for you can't miss you. You stop chasing. You start attracting. Not because you're manipulating energy, but because you are energy and your energy is now aligned with your truth. That alignment creates resonance, and resonance is what draws in what's authentic to your path. Your energy doesn't lie. It's the most honest thing about you. Even when your words say you're fine, your energy will reveal your fear, your exhaustion, or your longing. That's why healing your energy is not about being fake positive or masking your pain. It's about facing your truth, clearing what's not yours, and standing in who you are without hiding. When your energy is clean, people can feel your presence more than your performance. You no longer need to sell yourself or fight for attention. You walk into a room and your energy says, "I know who I am." That level of certainty is magnetic. Managing your energy isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. It's about choosing not to carry what doesn't belong to you. Letting go of grudges, cutting cords with energy vampires, healing old wounds that keep leaking into your present. It's about protecting your peace, not because you're fragile, but because your glow depends on it. And when you protect your glow, you protect your ability to impact, connect, and rise. You can change your life not just by changing your actions, but by changing your energy behind those actions. It's not just what you do, it's how you do it. Are you acting out of desperation or out of faith? Are you choosing from fear or from confidence? Because the same action taken with different energy creates completely different outcomes. That's how powerful energy is. It doesn't just affect your presence, it shapes your results, your relationships, and your reality. The more connected you are to your energy, the more connected you are to your power. You realize that your glow isn't something you turn on when you need it. It's something you live in every day. It becomes your default, your language, your signature. And when that happens, people don't just hear you, they feel you, and that is unforgettable. Your glow is sacred and it needs to be protected. You cannot rise into your fullest light if you're constantly surrounded by people, habits, or environments that dim it. Your energy is like a garden, and every moment you spend in a space that doesn't nourish you is a moment you deny yourself growth. That's why boundaries and clarity are not just self-care practices, they are spiritual necessities. They are how you protect your glow from being drained by what no longer serves you. It's not selfish to choose peace. It's not rude to walk away from what exhausts you. It's wisdom, and it's a decision that only you can make every single day. When you begin to awaken your glow energy, your spirit becomes more sensitive. You can feel when something is off, even if it looks good on the surface. You can sense when a conversation drains you, when a relationship no longer aligns, when a space no longer fits who you're becoming. That sensitivity is your power. It's how your energy speaks to you, warning you, guiding you, calling you forward. But too often we ignore that inner signal. We stay in rooms where we feel unseen, in cycles that leave us empty, in roles that shrink our spirit, all in the name of comfort or obligation. But the truth is, your glow cannot coexist with chronic misalignment. Something has to go, and that something is anything that costs you your light. Boundaries are the energetic gates of your glow. They are how you signal to the universe that your light is valuable, sacred, and not up for negotiation. When you begin enforcing boundaries, whether it's saying no to toxic relationships, disconnecting from draining routines, or choosing silence over chaos, you begin to preserve your power. You stop wasting your energy trying to fix what isn't yours to fix. You stop bleeding energy into people who only take, and instead you start to rise. You start to feel lighter, stronger, more connected to yourself. That's the result of clear boundaries. Clarity works hand in hand with boundaries. When you're clear about who you are, what you want, and what you will no longer tolerate, your energy becomes undeniable. You stop second-guessing your worth. You stop accepting crumbs when you were meant for the feast. You stop engaging in cycles of confusion and start choosing what's clear, honest, and aligned. Clarity cuts through chaos. It removes the noise and brings focus. And the more clear you are with yourself, the more effortlessly you make decisions that protect your glow instead of compromise it. Releasing what drains you isn't always easy. Sometimes it means letting go of people you once loved, roles you once identified with, or habits that once brought comfort. But growth and comfort rarely walk hand in hand. And the longer you stay attached to what depletes you, the longer you delay your radiance. Every release is a declaration. I value my light more than I fear the unknown. And every time you honor that, your energy rises. You start to feel more you. You begin to move differently, speak differently, choose differently. That's not by accident. It's the result of choosing environments that feed your flame instead of extinguish it. The truth is, you don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to start protecting your energy like it matters, because it does. Every boundary you set is a form of self-respect. Every moment of clarity is a moment of empowerment. And every time you walk away from what no longer aligns, you make space for something greater to find you. Your glow can only thrive where it is honored, and your job is to become the guardian of that light. Not everyone will understand it. Not everyone will support it. But your glow is not meant to be understood by everyone. It's meant to be protected, elevated, and lived every single day. Something powerful begins to happen when you choose yourself. Not in a selfish way, but in an intentional way. You stop waiting for the world to recognize your worth and instead decide to recognize it for yourself. You stop settling for fragments of love, partial respect, and conditional support. You rise into a space where you are no longer willing to sacrifice your peace just to be accepted. And in that space where you are no longer betraying your truth, you become magnetic. Not because you're trying to be seen, but because your energy finally feels like home. When you choose yourself, the universe responds. When you put your needs, your healing, your growth, and your peace first, you create a signal so clear, so pure, that the things meant for you start to find you without struggle. Magnetism is not about forcing, chasing, or proving. It's about being. It's about stepping into your authentic self so completely that your presence does the work for you. You no longer beg for what's already yours. You no longer hustle to feel valuable. You no longer compromise just to be chosen. Because the moment you truly choose yourself, you energetically release anything that no longer aligns. You rise above the patterns that once kept you stuck. You become unavailable for confusion, inconsistency, and chaos. You start to attract people who reflect your truth rather than mirror your wounds. Choosing yourself isn't always pretty. It doesn't always come with applause or understanding. Sometimes it means being alone. Sometimes it means breaking away from the familiar. Sometimes it means grieving the version of you that once needed others to tell her she was enough. But every moment you choose yourself, every time you choose peace over pressure, clarity over confusion, alignment over approval, you reclaim your energy. And that energy becomes a force. It moves you with confidence. It clears your path. It draws in people, opportunities, and experiences that nourish your soul instead of deplete it. You begin to show up differently. Your boundaries become stronger. Your self-talk becomes kinder. You stop negotiating your worth in relationships, work, and goals. You no longer say yes when your heart says no. You stop explaining your glow to people committed to misunderstanding it. Instead, you conserve that energy and reinvest it back into yourself. That self-devotion becomes your power source, and it changes the quality of everything in your life. You begin to experience love that's rooted in mutual respect. You pursue dreams with clarity instead of desperation. You live from intention instead of insecurity. There's a glow that only appears when you choose yourself consistently, not just in moments of clarity, but in moments of doubt. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Because choosing yourself isn't a one-time decision, it's a lifestyle. It's a repeated affirmation that says, I matter, I am worthy, I deserve to be whole. And when you embody that, the world responds differently. People feel your standards. They feel your presence. They've recognized that you are no longer available for anything that costs you your glow. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you walk alone forever. It means you stop settling while you wait for alignment. It means you honor your needs, your values, and your vision without waiting for outside permission. And in doing so, you magnetize what matches your frequency. Not out of desperation, but out of abundance. You become the source, you become the light, and that light doesn't just attract, it elevates, it heals, it inspires. The more you choose yourself, the more your life becomes a reflection of who you truly are, not who you had to be to survive. And in that reflection, you finally see it. You were never asking for too much. You were just asking in the wrong place. Now you are the place, you are the source, you are the magnet, and everything aligned with your glow is already on its way to you. There's something incredibly powerful about becoming the evidence of what's possible. When you rise in your glow, you don't just elevate yourself, you inspire others to do the same. You become the silent permission slip for those around you to remember their own light. Without even trying, your presence becomes a mirror. People begin to see in you what they've forgotten in themselves. That's the gift of choosing to live fully in your energy. It's not just about your success, your peace, or your freedom. It's about the ripple effect that your authenticity creates in the world around you. When you step into your truth, you spark something in others. When you glow, others remember they can too. You might not realize it, but your journey is medicine. The choices you make to heal, to grow, to evolve, those choices impact more people than you know. Every time you break a generational pattern, every time you say no to something misaligned, every time you speak your truth, you are teaching by example. You are walking proof that it's possible to live a life that reflects your soul. And people notice, even in silence, your alignment speaks volumes. Not because you're trying to convince anyone, but because your energy becomes so undeniable that it shifts the atmosphere. The world doesn't need more perfection, it needs more truth, more courage, more people who are willing to glow in the midst of their imperfections, people who are willing to rise not because they have all the answers, but because they refuse to keep hiding. That's what it means to be the spark. It means you lead by embodiment. You stop talking about change and become the change. You stop waiting for validation and become the evidence. That kind of power cannot be faked, it can only be lived. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to have it all figured out to be the spark. You just have to be willing to be seen, willing to grow in public, willing to shine even when it feels uncomfortable. Your glow doesn't require perfection, it requires authenticity. It requires you to stop waiting for the perfect moment and realize that this moment right now is your opportunity to embody everything you say you believe. The more you live in that truth, the more your life becomes a beacon. People are watching how you carry yourself. They're watching how you walk away from what doesn't serve you, how you say no with clarity, how you choose alignment over convenience, how you speak love into yourself instead of waiting for others to do it first. And in witnessing you, something inside of them wakes up. That's the ripple effect. That's the legacy of energy. You might not hear the applause. You might not see the results right away, but your presence is shifting things quietly, powerfully, deeply. You don't need to shout to be impactful. You just need to be real. You don't need to prove your glow. You just need to live it. When others see you living in alignment, they'll start to question their own limits. When they see you choosing peace over drama, growth over stagnation, self-respect over approval, they'll begin to believe that maybe, just maybe, it's possible for them too. And in that moment, your glow becomes more than personal. It becomes collective. It becomes a light that spreads. So keep going. Keep choosing yourself. Keep living in your truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's lonely, even when no one claps, because your glow is doing something sacred. It's waking people up. It's shifting energy. It's creating a new standard. And in a world full of noise and fear, your glow becomes the signal, the reminder, the spark that helps someone else remember their own fire. That's the power of rising in your light. You don't just change your life, you give others a reason to believe they can too.